Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and I'm out here in the garage, and I'm setting up to film my This Week in Gun News. And it is Thursday morning, and I'm between seeing a few clients and things, and actually today is kind of a difficult day for me because I'm a little sick. No, it's not the pandemic or any of that. Every year I get a sinus infection. It always happens. It's that time of the year where everything's in bloom, and inevitably, just something gets in my nose. I get all clogged up, and then the sinus infection hits, and then my life is miserable for about a week. It's like clockwork. But anyway, I thought I would talk about a topic that I've been meaning to talk about, and I really don't have a chance to on my main channel, because my main channel, I strictly stay to firearms. You guys know that. So the only stuff I talk politics over there is anything that happens in the firearms world or relates to the firearms world in some way. Because I feel like I need to keep that channel on topic. People don't come to me for political commentary outside of firearms. So I'm not going to waste their time, and I'm not going to put out content that I think is irrelevant to the channel. That's something that I'm not a big fan of when it comes to other firearms YouTube channels. I think that we all kind of need to stay in our lane, and that if you want to produce content, I think you should do what I'm trying to do. Content away from firearms. Have a second channel or a channel devoted to that. So subscribers that are just interested in firearms can watch just that content without their feed being bombarded with irrelevant information. So anyway, hopefully that's why you guys are here. So this gives me a chance to talk about things that, as I mentioned, are not relevant on the main channel. So the thing I wanted to talk about today was my disillusion with many of the institutions of society. You probably can't tell from the channel because I don't really talk about it too much or give any indication. But ever since last November, I have lost a lot of faith in our institutions. And it's not that those, or I held those institutions in very high regard to begin with. It's just that I believe that, I guess I had more faith in them than maybe what I have now. I have come to the acceptance that I think our battle is lost. Our society is lost. And it's not that we're not doing a good enough job to try to preserve the institutions of our society. I think it's more cyclical. If you look back on history, it just goes in cycles. You know, as they say, good times produce weak men. And I think we've had it pretty good for quite a long time. And things are changing. The world doesn't make any sense. Now, I know every generation says that about the next generation. I'm sure my grandparents said that about my parents' generation. And my great-grandparents' generation said that about my grandparents' generation. But I want to say that I take a step back and I look at the world. And while Elvis Presley back in the 1950s might have been pretty wild, you know, it made my great-grandparents a little nervous, you know. There was a guy on television shaking his hips, and they had never seen anything like that before. But in the grand scheme of things, we still all shared the same values, morals, belief in certain institutions. But we now look at a world where, and I'll say a topic that is, I said it makes no sense to me, where you have people that are biologically men competing in women's sports and completely dominating, and everyone's okay with that. It's just stuff like that that makes absolutely no sense. That every time, whatever the hot button issue is of the day, that we have to push that envelope so far, and now it's to the point of absurdity. And it's not just transgender sports or whatever, because I could care less if somebody's transgender. Whatever they do is their business, you know. I believe in libertarianism. We can all do whatever it is we want as long as we don't infringe upon the rights of others. But I'm talking about absurdity. Things that just don't make any sense. But anyway, there are three institutions that I've completely lost faith in. The first one is our election system. And I tell people it's not that I lost the election or my side lost the election. I can lose with grace and dignity. That's not the issue. It's just that when I lose, I want to know that I legitimately lost. If I can look at a system and go, it was fair, there was no cheating, and I lost, well, I'm going to try harder next time. But then when you lose, and there's huge questions about the integrity, and people tell you that you're a conspiracy theorist and just to shut up and accept it, well, that doesn't bode well for people that are supposed to follow the laws and the regulations that are going to be instituted by this new government. And I think there's a lot of people out there in society that feel that way. And it's one of the reasons why I actually unregistered to vote. I'm done. Because I feel like society has reached a tipping point that there are more people now with their hands out asking for things than there are people willing to pay into the system. There are more people that turn to government to solve their problems than themselves. And as the saying goes, you can't beat Santa Claus in an election. And that's what happens. There's one party out there that promises everything. The other party, the one that I voted for, doesn't really fight for anything. One thing that I really have to say that I admire about the Democrats or people on the left is that they fight like hell. I mean, no matter what the issue is, they fight like hell. They never stop. It's like our battle against anti-gunners. It doesn't matter if facts and stories are against them. They will fight to the bitter end. Our side? Nope, we don't fight. You got people that usually talk a good game around election time, but when it actually comes to practice, they don't do anything, And so I'm kind of tired of voting for people like that because I feel like a hamster on a little treadmill. It's all we're doing. We always lose. It's funny, even when Republicans win or people on the right win, we still lose. We still get them to, or we still get them compromising, we'll put that, giving the people in the minority what they want, and we just still go along with it. Nobody fights. It seems like government in general is always progressing left. It never progresses right. And when it progresses, or people say it's progressing right, all it is people on the right slowing down the progression of it going left. And so I'm done voting for people that don't fight. I'm done. I'm through with it. That's it. So I've lost my faith in the election system. And then I lost my faith in the Supreme Court of the United States. One of my biggest fears now is a civil society collapse. If you look at history and look at things like what led up to the Civil War, you see that there was obvious problems, things that needed to get solved, problems that were very hot button issues of the day, and nobody was willing to address them. You let one side do one thing, the other side do the other, and no one really tried to solve the issue until eventually it came to a boiling point. And that's the way I kind of feel like our society is heading now, in that we have big issues of the day. Let's talk about, getting back to the election stuff, election integrity, or we could talk about the Second Amendment. We could talk about immigration. We can talk about transgender sports, like I talked about a moment ago, or any of that stuff. Things that need resolution. And as I mentioned before, I can lose gracefully. If a Second Amendment case gets to the Supreme Court and it's ruled against what I think is freedom and liberty, I may not like it, but I can accept it because we had our day in court. We were able to argue our side of things. But now the Supreme Court, and I think a lot of it has to do with the judicial philosophy of John Roberts, they avoid anything controversial. And I don't know why. The Supreme Court refuses to take up anything that would be considered a landmark case. They keep just ignoring them. And so we get cases that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. While all of these real hot button issues that truly need to be addressed are completely ignored. You have disagreements among the circuits. You have states ignoring their own constitutions, like it was in Pennsylvania when it came to their election law. You have all these blatant disregards for the law, people breaking the law, not following either the letter or the spirit of the law. And because the Supreme Court doesn't want to be political, they don't take up any of these cases. And so it's allowing the pot that's boiling to just get hotter and hotter and hotter. And there's no pressure release valve. I mean, for example, if some of these cases made it to the Supreme Court, and as I said, even if my side loses, or the side that I think should prevail loses, it lets off some of that steam, in that I feel like society as a whole goes, you know what? We had our day in court. We did the best. This is how we decide these issues. The system worked. We can still fight to elect representatives and presidents who will appoint Supreme Court justices and keep fighting in the courts and doing all these legal battles. But we had our day in court, and it kind of takes the pressure off. And the court refuses to step in. It just refuses to step in. And I'll never understand that, because I think it's only making things worse. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad that the Democrats are trying to pack the court. And here's why. I think the one thing that John Roberts cares about more than anything else is the integrity of the Supreme Court. And so he didn't step in the elections. He didn't do anything else. He won't make any big decisions. And he allowed a party to come in that is pretty much going to destroy the one thing that he cares about. And I guess the last thing I'm really losing faith in, I don't know really where to put my finger on it, but whether it's the media and it's just the judicial system in general. Of course, we've all lost faith in the media, because we know the media isn't about the news anymore. It's about trying to persuade people to your personal opinion. But like what recently happened with the Derrick Chauvin case, and some of the comments of people in the media, where they're saying it's better that he got convicted than to have riots. And I say that is not the way that our judicial system is supposed to be. We all know that it's better that a guilty man walk free than an innocent man go to jail. That's just the way that we have always approached our judicial system. And now it's not about that anymore. It's about the politicization of topics, whatever the mob needs. And I'll just tell you, when it comes to the Chauvin trial, I watched a lot of it. I could say that if I was on that jury, there is no way in heck I thought that the prosecution proved second-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. There is no way. There are just too many factors. Just too many factors that you could say it could have been his lethal dose of fentanyl in his system that killed him. It could have been his 90% blockage on his heart with the fentanyl and the pressure of being arrested, the anxiety. There's just too many factors in play. Now, when it goes to the lower charges like manslaughter, maybe I would have voted guilty. Do I think that he held his knee on George Floyd's neck maybe a little bit too long after he had gone unconscious? Sure. I think there's definitely something to be said there. You can go, okay, well, maybe he overstepped his bounds. He should have done things a little bit different, shown a little bit more care and consideration, where I could have seen a guilty verdict maybe on the lower charge, maybe even third degree murder, but not second degree. But we all know why he got second degree murder. So now I'm losing faith in our system of criminal justice, because it's not about justice anymore. It's not about the facts. It's about what the narrative is. And now I look at certain people in prison and certain things that go on as literally political prisoners of the United States, because they have to be in jail because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and the narrative went against them because other people need that narrative to further an agenda. So anyway, I know this is kind of a rambly video here, but as I said, it's things I can't talk about on the main channel. So So these are like the institutions that I have completely lost a faith in. Completely lost faith. So what do I do about it? There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. And I know there's a lot of people out there today that are really upset. But one thing I've learned since November and how I've really changed my life is I stopped watching the news. I don't listen to talk radio much anymore. I do listen to some podcasts. I follow firearm stuff, obviously. But I don't follow the news anymore. I have no idea what's going on with Joe Biden outside of the Second Amendment. I just don't care anymore. I don't vote anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore. I just don't care anymore. Because nothing I can do can turn the tide anymore. I just look at it as the cycle is going to play out. It's beyond my control. People are going to let their cities burn. People are going to allow politicians to completely destroy their lives and the fortunes of their kids' lives and grandchildren's lives. We're going to be spinning into oblivion. We're going to allow our rights to erode. Everything's going to go away. But people get what they vote for. And they deserve to get it long and hard. And they're going to learn their lesson. But for me, there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. I'm one man. One man. And so I have discovered that not following politics, not getting involved, not caring as much, I'm actually happier. I know that sounds crazy. There's been just so much going on. There's so much hate on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I do have a personal Facebook account. And all I do on there is I post food, pictures of my dog, pictures of me and my family, pictures of me and my wife, where we're eating, and fun activities that we're doing. I don't post political stuff, and I have it set to like friends only, and people that post political stuff constantly, even stuff that's on my side, I usually unfriend them because I'm done with the politics. I'm just done with it. I'm done with the hate. I'm done with the fighting. There is no middle ground anymore. There is no, I have friends that are liberal. I have friends that feel differently than I do, and I feel like I can get along with them just fine. They may not be my best friends. I may not turn to them for certain things, but they're still my friends, and I care about them and their well-being. But there's just so much hate. I think a lot of those friends actually hate me if they actually knew how I felt, how I'm a libertarian, how I like the Second Amendment. And that's on them. But anyway, long video, talking about things that are beyond my control and what's making me happy. And I got to say, right now in general, I'm the happiest I have ever been in my entire life. Happiest I've ever been. I've never had this level of success and happiness and friendships. I've never been this social in my entire life. Just so much has changed since November. Things that I can't even tell you. It's just so much. And I'm just so much happier. I've just worked really hard to get all the negativity and hate out of my life, and just accepted that there's things I can't control, and just know that I've lost faith in institutions. So there you go. So I know this is a super long, rambly video about institutions that I have lost faith in. But in general, if you're one of these people that's all sad and dejected and feel like the world's coming to an end, well, maybe it is coming to an end, but there's nothing you can do about it. Find something in life that makes you happy. Change something up. Get the hate. Get the anger out of your life. Stick to what you do. Find a passion and do it. Because that's all that we can control in this world. And just live life to its fullest. So there you go. So that is the Texas Gun Vault Garage Ramblings of the day. So let me know if you have any questions. And as always, if you have any other questions you want me to answer, or things you want me to talk about or opine on, let me know in the comment section below. I like making these little videos out here in the garage. So as always, thanks for watching.